everyone.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Made him up. And the people who were giving him the cold shoulder weren't necessarily misogynists. They weren't necessarily people who or run a business, or even women are all incompetent. But the people who gave him a cold shoulder were sexist in the following.
Hey, Maggie.
Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
All right, all right.
Unfortunately, no.
Hey, everybody. Hey, how's it going? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're at. I'm not sure where you're all from, but I wish you a good time of day, whatever time of day it is for you. We're going to kick off this, just get this thing going and screen as many songs as possible. Yep. Gonna once again, I tried picking up the pace a little bit last week. I'm going to I want to keep a little bit of quality focus, but also I'm going to try to get through more songs if I can. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. So first off, we got David Kessam here, is the first on up to bat with looks like a song called Love is Waking Up. So here we go. Share screen. Cool. Here we go.
These are the times we are the ones, we are ready, we are ready. These are the times we are the ones, we are ready, we are ready. The ocean holds its breath, the sky is on its knees, the earth is trembling. Can we believe love is waking up? Love is waking up. How do we trust this love?
I want peace to fill a hole in the soul. But is peace not defined as part of a greater whole? If so, we need to keep the people in the know to blow away the doubt and hate and share this role. And down this road, something has got to give. I guarantee this world we see is not the one in which our children will live. We cannot sustain this path we're on, but on and on we run from Hanukkah to
We are ready. Believe me when I say it's the dawning of a brand new day.
Cool. So yeah, got quite a few things to talk about here. First, I want to say great sounding acoustic instruments. I think it sounds like the instrumental performances are great on this. Well recorded. I feel like some of the vocal arrangements are really cool, and especially like the flow that happens like halfway. It's a nice little departure there, and I thought it's like well developed while like not being like over the top or anything like that. I think the things like when I'm hearing a song like this, when I'm thinking about it in the licensing world, the things I'm thinking is maybe like there's some aspects of the production that feel a little dated, especially in terms of like when I heard like the sax come in, it kind of felt like almost like a Dave Matthews Band kind of move. And yeah, just kind of felt like in that context, in that singer-songwriter context, I felt like it definitely kind of dates the sound of it. And then just dynamically, I feel like there's some cool dynamic stuff happening with the vocals at points, but I feel that overall the dynamics kind of stay the same like throughout, and you can kind of see it in the waveform that it just literally kind of stays at the same level throughout the whole song. So yeah, I could use some more dynamic shifts, and then maybe just like, I feel like, cause it's like We Are, there's a lot of We Are. I don't really get a sense with the gang vocals that it's like more than just like one person, one or two people. So it's like, I feel like the gangs could probably be a little better on this. Especially if you want to make this kind of like an anthemic, like We Are Ready. I feel like it's something that I didn't really feel that emotion from the vocals, because the vocals, it didn't feel like it was really a gang. So yeah, I'd kind of reapproach like the way the gang vocals are tracked, and maybe get a couple more singers in there, and find ways to stack it. And I think if you took a song like this and redid it around like building different dynamics and having more like a rise and fall kind of vibe with it, I think it'd probably be a little more effective. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that one. A lot to love though. I thought the acoustic instruments were really well recorded. Really nice job on that. See, next up we got, so that was, I'm gonna once again just make a note here. I need to open up a text edit so that I can keep track of all the songs, and I'll paste them in. If people want to check them out later, they can check out the full versions. So thanks again, David, for submitting that one. So here we go. Yes. So anybody, I just want to answer this question. It's just rolling over on a week-to-week basis. So, any songs we don't get to, we're just going to keep going down the list. I am going to be mixing things up so that the other, like basically all the courses are getting representation in this. So that's the only skipping in the list that's going to be happening, is if I see like one group has too many songs submitted, I'll rotate between the groups to make sure that all the groups get a chance to have songs screened. So yeah, just that's the only thing that's happening there. But otherwise, we're just going to be going in first come, first served. Next up, we got Mark Stone. Mark Stone's up, and it looks like this song. Let's see if we can get this. This song is called "Start a Revolution." Here we go. And it says in the description, created for Sync, who's got a zombie show they need music for. All right, cool. Can't wait to hear this one. Here we go. So, share screen. All right, here we go. Start a revolution.
You got the problem, we got the solution. Rise up and start a revolution. Don't care as long as it's your burden affair, they never will. Now, make your own destiny, play it like a symphony, like a blind Berlin rash to destruction. You don't know.
Hey, yeah, so I think if they're looking, if like some horror movies looking for some type of Rob Zombie replacement, some type of Rob Zombie alt, then I think you're in good shape. I feel like the Rob Zombie vibe, it's like it's so pretty amazing with the vocal and everything like that. Very similar vocal style. I felt like a lot of really good instrumental performances in here once again. Yeah, especially, I mean, that drummer is sick. Yeah, I feel like overall, just the things that I was hearing, I really feel like the mix maybe could use a better mix. It sounds a bit dead, kind of like overall. I feel like the track could probably use a better mix. And then as far as for licensing, the only thing I said is like if they're looking for something that's like super like this this artist that was like highly relevant like a long time ago, a little less relevant today, I think you're in good shape. But it's one of those things where I think that looking for anytime they're looking for something that kind of has like a dated sound, in terms of like this type of rock, I think they would probably rather have like something that's actually from the period. Usually when they're looking for music that's from a period of time, they're looking for something that's actually authentically from that time. So making new music that sounds like it was from like a different, I don't know if this is your intention or not, but it certainly sounds like that Rob Zombie type of stuff that was quite popular like a while back. So yeah, I just think like in terms of like your targeting, you're kind of limiting yourself in terms of like the stuff that you're going to be able to get this in front of in terms of like just the applications with it. But a lot of great musicianship going on in here, and I just think like it needs a better mix just overall in terms of like this song, just from what I'm hearing. But great work. Yeah, thanks for sharing it. I dig heavy stuff a lot too, so I like all different kinds of music. I've had like every single imaginable phase of taste in music that you can imagine. So I dig that a lot. Let me see. Let's throw this into the list of songs we played, and then we'll go to the next one. Next up, we got from Steve Vito and Joe Uzo, we got Hollywood Boulevard. Let's see here. Okay. Cool, here we go. Let's go ahead and move on over to that. Sweet. All right, here we go. Yeah, so the listening hours definitely get replayed. I apologize. I actually saw that question from earlier, but just we had so many questions on the listening session that I was just I think it was in the middle of answering one when we do that. But every single call we do, just moving forward, at pretty much every single call we do is going to be archived and replayable. So just for your info. Hot Fuzz. I named my project that because it's one of my favorite movies. Yeah, and I thought it would make a really good Black Keys kind of sounding name. Let's see. So this one's called Hollywood Boulevard. Here we go.
We don't know just what we're looking for. Never happy walking, so we're running for more. Dreamers looking for an open door. Living on the ceiling, but we're sleeping on the floor. Underneath the lights, that's when I come alive. It's everything I've waited for. With the windows down, music turned up. Gonna make this place feel like Hollywood Boulevard. Only long nights, never enough. Gonna make this place feel like Hollywood, Hollywood. Ooh, Hollywood Boulevard. Running round the town like I'm gonna make this place feel like Hollywood Boulevard. Only long nights, never enough. Gonna make this place feel like Hollywood, Hollywood. With the windows down, music turned up. Gonna make this place feel like Hollywood Boulevard. Only long nights, never enough. Gonna make this place feel like Hollywood, Hollywood. Windows down, music turned up. Gonna make.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody can hear how slick this thing sounds. It's great. Like I feel like this track is killer pop production. Vocals are A++. I feel like the top line's great. You know, the one thing I noticed right off the bat you might want to address is like there's some noise floor that's actually getting a pumping effect on it. It's kind of interesting before the track kicked in, but I imagine you just jump straight into the song there. The lyrics are super specific, so but I think like if it's a scene that they're looking for somebody like driving down the street or something like that and having a party, it's like it's cool. I think it's a cool song, you know. I certainly think you could pitch something like this just for people that are looking for kind of top 40 stuff. It sounds slick, you know. I dig it a lot, you know. Yeah. Mind checking the bridge out? Sure. Hang on a sec.
Hollywood Boulevard. Hollywood, 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 Hollywood Boulevard. Make it feel Hollywood. We're gonna make it feel like Hollywood Boulevard. We're gonna make this place.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds slick. I think the whole song sounds pretty slick and polished, honestly. I dig it a lot, you know. So thanks for sharing. I think you certainly could pitch something like this for sure. There's definitely a market for this. Like you could even, I mean, as far as like artist release, you could probably do an artist release on this too, if it was the right type of artist. Yeah, I think it's cool. I dig it a lot. Definitely slick production on it. I feel like there's if anything, there could be like a little more attention paid to like the Hollywood Boulevard. That's the only thing that I think like in terms of like if I wanted to make it a little pop a little bit more, like just on Hollywood Boulevard, like you could put some gangs back there or something like that, or experiment around with it a little bit. Just if there's some way you could make that part of it just a little, just maybe even like 5% bigger vocally, it might sound cool. Or just like you could use like some type of a like altar boy or something like that, something to make the vocal kind of fatter on that part. That was the other thing I was thinking while I was listening to it. But other than that, I just think you killed it. Nice job. All right. Next up, there are some seriously talented cats in this group, and I mean, obviously out there in the world. So, you know, yeah, definitely. Yeah. The party noise floor was kind of funny to me. I was like, what is that? But it definitely came through in the headphones pretty big time for me. All right, so next up, we got April Eileen here. Next one here. This song's called I'm Still Alive. Here we go.
Rip me apart, pulling my inside out. Now that I let you in my mind, every word is a landmine. Every time we try to go deeper, we collide. You see all the records that I hide. Every word is a landmine. Every move is a cross line. Why did you fight? Was it the martyr? Or was it the sinning kind? Or is it a sign? Would you drown me in water? Or wait for my body to rise? Ooh, I'm still alive. Ooh, I'm still alive. Now it's my turn to rise. Ooh, I'm still alive. Was it the martyr? Was it the sinning kind? Why did you fight?
Yeah, I love this one. I think the top line on this is so great. Like da 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 da, like the vocal, just the vocal lick that comes in with that. It's really great. It's powerful. It lifts, and it's just a really strong vocal. I feel like the way the vocal's sung is really good. It's really cool. I feel like the production's cool. I feel like it's got like a dirty kind of Western kind of foot stomp clap kind of vibe. You could certainly put this into Western shows or something like that. Yeah, I think I like a lot about this. I feel like the top line's great. I feel like it's got even like the intro. You could maybe put a little more reverb on the intro stuff. I feel like the intro kind of background things get like borderline kind of distracting. Might be better if they were a little more muffled, but that would just be my choice if I was producing something like this. I feel like I see a note that this is like a finished song, so I don't want to give feedback as far as like the production, but just like the one thing that I was wishing was there was like some type of harmony on the course of it. No, there could have been like some really cool harmonies at those points. But yeah, I feel like it works. It's good. Like this is a song you could certainly pitch around. And yeah, I feel like there's also just it could be just like it hasn't gone through mastering, or there's just a little bit of it feels like it's a little lacking in the loudness and like some of the low end, which can kind of get lost over the stream. So I just want to give that as like a warning to anybody who's sharing stuff over this connection. It's some of the low end information seems to get stripped out. So probably the full version, if I just listen to it not online, we'd probably hear a little more detail in the low end. But nice job. I really dig the track. This is like what everybody should be striving for in terms of like top line, in terms of having like a dynamic top line that lifts and has like the right emotion. Yeah, her name's April Eileen, APRYLLAILEEN. And don't worry, for anybody who misses out on like who it is or something like that, I'm going to be sharing the links to all these songs when the replay comes out. So I'll just comment on the replay and you'll be able to see. Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that's April. I've heard her sing before. I'm pretty sure that's her. Let's see. Okay, so next up we got so much good music already. So we got Elaine Ryan is next. It looks like this is a work tape. So let's get this queued up. And okay, cool. So next up, we got Elaine Ryan here. Looks like this is a work tape, top line and beat. So yeah, just gonna give some feedback, I think, on the probably on the songwriting and on the basic production that's going on here. Here we go. We'll share it, and we're off. Here we go.
I am the universe walking in female form. I know I can't be broken anymore. So strong, so free, I'm so alive. Can't touch the fire inside. And now's my time. The world's my prize. Step up and realize I am unbreakable. I am unbreakable. Can't wreck me, can't rewrite me, it's alright, see, I'm unbreakable. Can't wreck me, can't rewrite me, it's alright, see, I am. When I am down, I don't quit, I level up. I take a breath cause I know I am enough. I've lived and learned, felt pain before. My body knows it's keeping score. And now's my time, the world's my prize. Step up and realize I am unbreakable. I am unbreakable. Can't wreck me, can't rewrite me, it's alright, see, I'm unbreakable. Can't wreck like me, can't rewrite me. Hey, 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 hey.
Yeah. So here's my thoughts on. I feel like as far as the top line goes, it's got some cool things going for it. It's got some of that dynamics that I was talking about, where it lifts up into another interval with the vocal melody, which is good. You definitely want to have that. You could definitely do it maybe even a little bit more. You could have a little bit more separation with that. I feel like for top lines, one of the things that I like to do is I feel like in a way the track has a little bit of a monotone. It has a bit of a monotone way in which it delivers the rate at which it delivers lyrics. Like the rhythm of the lyrics, the rhythm of the singing kind of seems to be the same throughout the song. Like I'd like to hear more, like when I try to write stuff, I try to mix up like, you know, stuff that's like longer held out, stuff that's like, you know, faster paced. And sometimes I'll like for dynamics, maybe start with something that's like kind of almost monotone, just like the same note almost, and is not like super complex, and then just add complexity and then like on the chorus, like really take off and take people on a journey. This one kind of feels like it gets going and then it just kind of goes at the same pace. So I think I'd maybe like try mixing up your kind of rhythmic delivery on things a little bit. And you could even find some places to maybe simplify the top line, I think. I think it's at the point where it's maybe a little too busy vocally. So that's the other thing, is maybe simplifying the top line vocal. I feel like something like this, you could certainly do like a soul kind of like up tempo kind of soul, or I don't think it's just really a boot stomp clappy kind of vibe. But it's more like a fun kind of, you could any kind of like soul kind of production on something like this, I think could be really cool. Yeah, you know, that's what I'm thinking, is soul or indie rock or something like that. I don't know. Something high energy if you're making it for ads. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I think some of the lyrics maybe could be freshened up a hair. I liked some of the lines a lot. Some of them were maybe a little on the cliche side, and more maybe showing rather than just saying it might be helpful. You know, just like, yeah, that's just thoughts, you know, in terms of just like my overall impressions of it. But I think there's certainly some potential there, and nice job, you know. I think this is also really good. I'm not sure where you pulled the beat from, but you could literally pull something like that from like Splice, or like so many different places you could do that and use that as a songwriting tool. So I encourage anybody who's doing this to definitely use those resources. If you don't have a beat maker handy, you can just go and grab something somewhere. So yeah, GarageBand or wherever, you know, you can definitely be creative about that, and don't let you know, if you don't have access to slick beats right away, you can certainly get going with like the right tempo and the right speed and just practicing. Honestly, like, I had somebody, I didn't actually follow through with this, but I kind of wish I had. I had a buddy of mine who was like, he was a real, he worked on like just crazy records, like somebody that I worked with. And he told me, like, if you want to learn how to top line and do it well, you should just take like something that's like really working and then just write like 100 top lines on it. Like take a really sick beat, take a really simple chord progression, and like write 100 different top lines on the same thing, and you'll learn so much. So I think like, it's just like, you'll get better the more and more you practice this. And, you know, you can take the suggestions I have for what they're worth, or you could just like, you know, look, here's the thing, like with any song that I give feedback on the songwriting or whatever aspect of it is, you know, you're going to take that info, you're going to do what you want to do with it. And then you'll learn from like, you know, what's the outcome of like, your experience going through it all. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with next. Thanks for sharing it. Next up, and we'll be going way more into work tapes, like very soon, with anybody who's in the six-figure course. In fact, I'm talking with the team about possibly doing like a special listening session during that month to just screen work tapes while we're really focused on songwriting, because I think that might be valuable. So let me see. Let me just copy and paste this. And also, this is just an invite for anybody who hears potential in that one, that Elaine might be available to collaborate with that on. I can't speak for her, but you know, this is one of the great things about sharing the stuff with the group is, you know, people might be like, oh, I really like that. Maybe I could work with her. So I want to encourage those kinds of things, because those things do happen in this course, and it's part of where some of the big breakthroughs come for some people, is like working as a team. And without further ado, next up we got Drew Barbs. Barbas, I apologize. I hope I didn't butcher your name, but here we go. This is called Fight for Me. And yeah, let's fire this one up. I'm excited. Give me just a sec. Here we go. All right, Fight for Me. Look at this. This is like some of the slick stuff you can do with Disco, by the way. Disco makes it where you can give it a really nice presentation, and presentation, while it does not make your song better, it certainly gives a good first impression, you know, and gives a color to what it is that I'm about to hear. So it looks good. Just wanted to comment on that.
That's when I call you. That's when I call you. When I'm lonely in my skin, you're the kind of friend I can lean on. Yeah, I lean on you. Lost in unknown places, no familiar faces. You guide me. You always show up for me. You're always good company. I can count on you to be by my side. And in the darkest night, you fight the good fight. When I need you most, you care for me. Against the wall, and in the darkest night, you fight the good fight. When I need you most, you care for me. You always show up for me. You're always good company. You're always
Yeah, there's a lot to love about this. I mean, I feel like I was drawn in. One of the things I wanted to say just right away, that I was kind of drawn in immediately on this song. And this is where like leaving a good first impression is so important. Not only with like the visuals of it, but just musically, it was very interesting. Did not take time to develop. It just kind of instantly drew me into the world of the song without like, you know, beating around the bush. It was just literally just like cutting straight to the chase with it, which I loved. And it was very interesting, and it evolved in kind of an unexpected, cool way. I loved how the vocals came in. I feel like the top line was great. It kind of reminds me, I think like the key to a good top line sometimes is sometimes you write something that has like a familiarity to it, but it's not, you can't quite put your finger on it. I actually ended up putting my finger on exactly what because this top line kind of reminded me of something a little bit. It actually kind of reminded me of that Radiohead song "Nice Dream" from the Bends, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's got a little bit of a similarity to it, but it's not close enough that it would ever like have a copyright mark against it. But it definitely, like, the familiarity of that, just like for me personally, kind of like I was like, oh, it's just got like kind of a nice it's just something very satisfying about that top line in the way, and interesting. And then the singers together is just like, it's butter, it's good, you know. It's like the voices meld together very well. Yeah, I feel like it's nicely balanced, pretty nicely mixed. Just a lot to love about this track. The only thing that I don't absolutely love is I don't absolutely love where it goes to. But that's just me. You know, I feel like the build of this track is so good, but the payoff for whatever reason to me feels like it falls a little flat, either melodically from the top line or just the track dynamic. It doesn't really go. I'm not exactly sure why it is. I'd maybe have to listen to it a couple more times to be a little more intelligent about like my feeling around it, but it felt a little bit of a letdown with the chorus to me for what it's worth. So yeah, you know, I mean, but I feel like a lot of the pieces are there in terms of like the kinds of music you would want for like singer-songwriter type stuff, TV shows. Yeah, it's a really cool duet. Like what a cool, yeah, just a very cool, well-arranged duet. I feel like the vocalists are good and nice job. I applaud you. I dig it a lot. So here we go. Let's put that on the list of songs for today. Thanks again, Drew, for sharing that. It's amazing. There are some really talented musicians and producers and singers in this group. If anybody has any doubts about that, all you have to do is just listen to these listening sessions and you can hear it. All right. So next up, who we got next here? We got Jason Fort here. Jason, you're up next. How are we doing for time? We're doing pretty good. Yeah, we're getting through. I feel like we're getting through more songs, which is good. Hopefully you're getting enough from me on them, but I am deliberately trying to pick up the pace a little bit with it just so we can get through more stuff. And I feel like I can just be a little less wordy with what I'm trying to say as well. So next up, we got West Coast Breeze. Yeah, the colors of that track are really nice. All right, so West Coast Breeze, it looks like Rough Work Tape. Okay, cool. So it's always good to know like what the status is of the status. I think that's actually how you say it in like British speaking companies or countries, but British speaking, but more like UK kind of English. But maybe I'm mixed up. But the status of the song is really good, and that's why I actually added a couple fields, like what's the submission, like what kind of feedback do you want on it. I'm also going to start adding a field. Actually, I'll do that like right now while I'm here. I'm going to add a field to when the song was produced, just because. Might as well just do it here. When was the song produced? Because it really helps, and we definitely want to like moving forward. We're probably going to emphasize like we're going to be emphasizing stuff that has been produced recently, just because it tends to be a little more on the target. Let's see, here we go. Song link. When was the song produced? Make that a required field. Thank you very much for hanging with me while I just do this real quick. Sometimes I was sharing on the other call that I literally have this has changed my life drastically. I've gotten into this habit now of if I think of doing something for longer than a second, I just start doing it. And it's amazing to me, like that literally just got done. And from now on, you all will be able to put that in there, and I think it'll just help us screen the songs a little better. So thanks for that. I encourage just doing it, just starting to do stuff. Like you think about doing something for a couple seconds, just start doing it. You'll as long as it's something that benefits your life. I would throw that in there, because sometimes you'll think of stuff and it's like not the best thing for you. All right, so West Coast Breeze, Rough. Here we go. I'm done talking. All right.
Took a trip to the West Coast, had two folks ask me if I'd like a smoke. I said, thanks, that's really kind. I think I'm gonna drink from the line this time. Weather was cool and the people too. Had to drive through the mountains, get to Malibu. Highway 1 had the scenic views where they're rolling down the windows. Everybody saying it, eh, eh. Everybody saying eh, eh, eh. Where they rolling down the windows. Everybody saying it, eh, eh. Everybody saying it, eh, eh. Now I've been driving around, listening to good times, two kids in the back singing nursery rhymes. Ask myself what to do with life. life? Is it more than work the 9 to 5? Could you sales or marketing? They say, won't you chase the American dream? But money's not enough, I need to be where they're rolling down the windows, everybody saying, hey, hey, hey. Everybody saying, hey, 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 yeah. They're rolling down the windows, everybody saying, hey, hey, hey. I got sand in my head. There's just nothing like that West Coast. They rolling down the windows, everybody saying, hey, hey, hey.
Could y'all hear that? Weird. I don't think I shared the screen that time, did I? Yeah, I didn't share the screen. Could you hear it better there or when I was sharing the screen? Okay, same, yeah. That's okay, yeah. I don't think it really matters if I share the screen or not. I think it does help for people to see like kind of the waveform and everything like that sometimes. Yeah, I just thought I'd see. Yeah, sorry. Well, glad y'all could still hear it. And so my thoughts on this, I mean, obviously this person loves Jason Mraz and like Jack Johnson and that type of like rhythmic style over like acoustic guitar of the vocal. I feel like a top line like this, you just have to find the right production for it. It could be an alt for like one of those two guys if it was done well. And yeah, I feel like I feel like that's probably the direction production wise I would take with something like this. Not sure as far as like, I don't see a ton of briefs looking for this type of music. That's one thing about it is that I don't see a ton of briefs looking for like Jack Johnson alts or stuff like that. So something to keep in mind, but certainly something that I think could fall into like the singer-songwriter kind of buckets that when they're looking for singer-songwriter stuff, you could probably take put like a modern spin on it. You could certainly take this music and make it a little more modern sounding with the production on it. You could certainly do that. It definitely has that kind of bouncy vibe that I mean, I love this kind of stuff. Certainly the kind of stuff when I first moved to LA, I was writing a ton of stuff that was similar to this. And I'll say, the one thing I was thinking, so I think you got a question here, at least in terms of like for me melodically and just kind of like pocket wise. Every time you're saying everybody saying hey hey hey, you could do that, or you could do everybody saying hey hey hey. You could actually speed up the hey 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 a little bit if you wanted to. Everybody saying hey hey hey, or the hey. I think it was like a little more deliberate the way you were doing it versus like you could do something that's a little more like feels like a little more in the pocket. Is probably what I would do if I was like offering suggestions as a writer or something like that. By the way, I want to just throw this out there. Anytime I offer a suggestion for like writing or anything like that, or a lyric or something like that, because we'll get into this anytime we're like screening a work tape, I like to feel like I can like offer that without like feeling any kind of pressure. So like, I just want to say, like, if I make a suggestion and you take it, I'm not going to go back to you asking for the writing or anything like that on it. If we're writing together, that's a totally different situation. But if it's just on the call and I make a suggestion and you go with it, I'm not going to come back later saying like, hey, I really think that my suggestion really changed your song for the better, and I want half your song. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not a jerk. It's like the dodgeball league that I play in. The motto of the league is "Don't be a dick." And it's like I just try to like conduct myself in a way that's like similar to that in just kind of like all areas of my life, including like the way I do music business. So yeah, I'm just trying to like, anytime I'm making a suggestion, doesn't mean that my suggestion, by the way, is even better than like what you created. It's just like I like to do, like, if I was playing around with this is what I would like kind of play around with if I was co-writing with somebody. So I like to feel like I can make those kinds of suggestions without anybody feeling like threatened by that at all, or like feeling like there's some type of obligation to me if you end up going with some idea that I suggest. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. I feel like you could certainly produce this in a way that's similar to those artists, and then maybe like put like just listen to their more recent stuff and see what direction they're trending, or figure out some way to make some cool hybrid with something that's like, you know, just a little more like more frequently used in terms of the singer-songwriter space. And there's tons of playlists that you can go out to check out on Spotify and everywhere else to listen to modern singer-songwriter music. And I'm sure there are cats that I'm totally unaware of that are doing stuff that is actually similar to what I'm describing, kind of modernizing that sound a little bit. So, but yeah, I dig a lot about the concept of it. And yeah. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. Great job. We'll keep going. Once again, just it's like, you know, anytime I'm screening a song, it's like, you know, this could be somebody that you could be working with. So I just want to keep reminding everybody that if you hear something that you like, hit them up. Let me find this. So, all right, we're doing good. We still got like another 45 minutes or so. We're making good progress here. Spent a little longer on that one than maybe I should have. But it's okay. Let's see. It's gonna happen. There's no way you can go through this thing like there's no formula to this. I'm just trying to do the best I can. All right, so here we go. Dusty Record. Hopefully I got your name right. Looks. I don't know if this is gonna open. Let's see if it opens. No, this is just going to my Gmail. See, this is where like it's really important that when you drop a song link in, it's really important that the song link actually goes somewhere that I can publicly check out. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to screen that because it doesn't look like it's going somewhere that I can screen right now. So yeah, Dusty, when you get a chance, submit another song and make sure that it's a direct link to a song that I can screen, so I can help you out there. All right, so next we got Sarah Wetterau is next on the call here. She's next up to have a song screen, and this song's called "I Got Money." Hang on a sec. We're gonna get this going. I'm gonna share the screen again this time. Give me a sec. All right. Here we go. I Got Money edited. I'm pretty sure we screened this one before, so I'm looking forward to seeing what changed here.
I hit it big, 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 and they know I got money. I hit it big, big, boom, close control. I got money. Oh, I win, and I show. I got money. I hit it big, 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 hit it big. I got money. I get paid for even breathing. Roll the carpet when I'm leaving, breathing. Big, big.
Sorry, I hit the space bar unintentionally with my notepad. Let's get this going again.
Boom, close control. I got money. Oh, I win, and I show. I got money. I hit it big, 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 hit it big. I got money. I get paid for even breathing. Roll the carpet when I'm leaving. And my wallet is so pregnant. And I hope to get a present. I bought it on my own. Now I am on the throne. I hit it big, 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 and they know I got money. I hit it big, big, boom, big, hit it low. I got money. My back, but I win.
Yeah, so I don't remember specifically what the notes were that I had before, but if I screened it, I'm pretty sure I screened this song before, but I freaking love this song, and I love where it's at now. Like, I'm listening to it now, and I'm like, if I can't remember what the concerns were. It's a good sign when I listen to something again and I just don't even remember what it was that I had like any concerns about. So yeah, I feel like really, like, as far as this song goes, like, I feel like it's great. Like, honestly, I love this song. I feel like there's something that could this song will definitely get placements, I have a feeling. Just my feeling on it. It's the type of track that I know is marketable, is current, that they're always looking for stuff that's like this. So I feel like, yeah, it's money. It's really good. Like, so you should be really proud of yourself. And yeah, like so many people on that we screen songs, like these are certainly songs that like a song like this would be like a no-brainer for us to want to add to our library, because I know that there's places we would be able to pitch it immediately. So Sarah, if you want Catch the Moon to rep this, feel free to send me a line, and we'll get that going. But yeah, nice job. I feel like this track's great. So I really don't have a lot to say. I think the thing I want to talk like a minute about like why I think a song like this is so good for licensing. It's got a lot of places where there's edit points. And I think this is like really important. You can have a cool track, but if there's no place and no room for like there to be like an interruption of some type, whether that be like some type of sudden edit or thing like that, like a track like this, there's so many places you could edit from it. The attitude of the vocal is really great. It's like the perfect, I feel like for a vocal, sometimes you can get too over the top with the way you're singing. I think like a track like this, it could have been very easy to go too over the top with the attitude in the vocal. I feel like this vocal has like the perfect amount of attitude without like trying to oversell it or something like that. So I think it's like, there's a certain amount of like, I don't give a shit that like, apologize for my language, but it's like, there's a certain amount of like, I don't care, like that comes across in this lyric and also in the way the vocals delivered, which I think is great and it's effective. And then just the track sounds cool, sounds modern, sounds like it's like kind of almost like a hybrid. There's like lots of genre, like what somebody say the other day, it was like, genre what's the term I'm looking for? It was genre fluid. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, a track like this feels like it's like genre fluid, genre bending. It's like these are the types of tracks that are getting a lot of traction right now. So yeah, you got a good, we've had several examples already on this listening session already of people that are really like hitting the target. They're really going out intentionally, and I know Sarah's been doing this for a little while, and it shows. Like the work that people do when they really do the work, it can really, it could be amazing. Like so great job. I love the track, and like I said, if you want Catch the Moon to rep it, let me know. So here we go. Next up.
Can I ask a question, John? Sorry, this is Sarah.
Hey, Sarah, how's it going?
I am good. I just wanted to ask, someone said to me that I should change the lyrics in the bridge, for example, because it's like, you see me ending up in debt, losing money from my bag, but I already double checked. I won't be no rich to rags. And he said, it's too negative because I say like, you see me ending up in debt.
I don't think anybody's really gonna, I don't think that's the part of the song that people are gonna use.
Yeah.
I think that bridges, people can get really, not to say that whoever said that has like an invalid point at all. Obviously everybody's got a perspective, everybody's got a point of view with things. So, but I would say that the bridge is probably the least important part of the entire song, just in general, when it comes to sync. Sometimes the bridge is like a really cool, like edit point, but I don't feel like the lyrics, when I was listening to the bridge, I didn't feel like those lyrics like definitely took away from the song in any way. So that's just my opinion for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the chorus, there's this one line, I hit it big and then won't lose control. And he said, like, and I could just change it to I'm in control, but then I would need to re-record with a different mic in a different room because I'm not in LA anymore right now. So I wonder if I should change that line after all.
I don't know. I didn't think so, but
Okay.
It's just my opinion. I feel like it's a cool track as it is. Like I wouldn't be saying that I didn't love it. I wouldn't be saying that I love it if I thought that there was something with the lyric that was like kind of like a fatal flaw that would make it impossible to get it placed.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it just would. Yeah, I just really dig. I think, and this goes back to here's like a really important part that I want everybody to hear too, is that like the lyrics are important, but I would say that the vibe is even more important than the lyrics sometimes, because people don't necessarily pay attention to every single lyric but they definitely hear the vibe of a track all the time. So it's really like the vibe of the track. I never feel like I'm out of the vibe of the track, and the vocals are like, I feel like really on target with that vibe and helping create that vibe. So if one word's negative, one word's not, I think you could make this is an interesting we could sit here and have a theory as to which one would be better. I mean, I could see like if it came up in a songwriting conversation, I could see the points of both sides about like, it might be better to have it this way or that way, or I might have like a completely different suggestion. So it's like, there's a certain amount to this where it's like, everybody's going to have an opinion and but that's okay. My professional opinion about a track like this is I think you could pitch this as it is.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So welcome. All right. So yeah, once again, Sarah's she is in the family, and she's, I'm sure, somebody who is interested in collaborating with people on stuff. So yeah, I'm always like consistently blown away by the quality of the stuff that people are creating in this group. It's great because it's like the thing I know about it is like it's just a matter of time before these songs get out to the right people and then they find homes. Like this is just kind of how it works. So next up we got Nicole Dillenberg, and she shared something on SoundCloud. Let's get this going. It looks like this is called Step. Hang on. SoundCloud does this thing where it just plays it for you automatically even if you don't want to, but that's okay. All right, so it looks like this was made about 3 years ago. Yep, okay. It looks like it was an artist release. Stepmom Rough Mix. Let's give it a listen here. Yeah, I mean, people are making comments that the song would be a good fit for this show or that show. It's like, I can tell you from the briefs that I've seen very recently that we've sent out tracks for, that we would definitely include a song like this in like several pitches that we've sent out in the last couple weeks. So just to give you a feel, like I don't say this about every single song that gets screened, but I do say it when it's something that's like super on target and relevant to what we're doing, because we get briefs like every single day. And they're looking for stuff like this quite a bit. So yeah. Listening session next. Okay, so next up we got Nicole Dillenberg. Here we go. Let me share the screen. It's cool. Once again, it's like no matter what, I always like seeing like some type of artist image on whatever, whether you're using SoundCloud or using Disco or something like that. It's good that they took the time to like, you know, put some artwork in there and stuff. I think it makes it look more professional. And whether you're using SoundCloud or you're using, I would suggest using Disco if you're going to present stuff for sync, just because it's what a lot of supervisors and agencies use. But you can use SoundCloud. It's just I've heard varying. It's certainly like the experience on mobile for SoundCloud is pretty lackluster in my experience, just for what it's worth. Here we go.
You caught me crying outside Hudson's store, but you never asked what my crying was for. The things you said about my dad, I cried so you got mad. It made me want to you made it clear that I didn't
But you've taken everything that you could steal.
Hey, yeah. So for anybody who is on the call, please keep yourself muted. It really interrupts things when we're listening to music. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah, there's actually a time where I had to kind of rewind to make sure that, but then I realized it was somebody. I thought it was something in the track, but then I realized it was somebody who just had their microphone turned on. So if you do turn your microphone on accidentally or non-accidentally, just make sure to mute it when you're done talking, or please, because it does interrupt things a little bit. I just wanted to say a few things about this track. I feel like the acoustic is really well tracked and performed. Like, actually, one thing that's a lot trickier than it seems is like getting doubled acoustic guitars to not flam in a way that's unpleasing. But I feel like the performances are in the pocket and good and well recorded. I feel like the vocals pretty well recorded. Mix feels a little off to me. Feels a little heavy on the acoustic guitars. But that's just my taste with it. I think the lyrics are very specific in this song. Makes it kind of tough to find like the scene that, especially with like the verses, like the scene that something like this is going to fit into, in terms of like if it was just like a takeover kind of use of the song. It's got a bit of like I feel like it's got like kind of a nice mellow kind of almost country kind of vibe. When the organ kind of creeps in, it kind of reminds me of Counting Crows a little bit, but minus any of the electric stuff that they do. I feel like there's certainly like some room for like on a track like this. I know this track's like fully produced and it's been released, it looks like, but there's certainly more room for additional production, I feel like, on a track like this. And I feel like this goes back to like the dynamics thing that I was talking about, where I'm looking at the track and it's kind of like it just kind of gets going and then it just keeps going. It like more modern production tends to have like more dramatic kind of rises and falls, and I think I would in future stuff I would try to incorporate more kind of like going from like ground, like basically almost nothing to big moments and then come back down and just kind of really play with your dynamics with things. And then I think like vocally, this is one thing where it's I mean, Music Soups say it all the time. The only reason I feel even comfortable saying it, because I know it's just like, I'm a singer, and occasionally, every once in a while, like I'll sing something with too much vibrato on it, and they'll be like, lay off the vibrato. And I'm pretty much like almost don't sing with vibrato at all anymore, just because, unless it's like kind of like really called for it, just because it tends to like just in a vocal kind of date it a little bit. So that's all I would say with that. Like just in the future with vocal stuff, I think you listen to enough like listen to a lot of like, just check out some Spotify playlists of like modern singer-songwriter music, and I think you'll hear what I'm talking about. Just it's certainly like I'm sure there's like some vocalists that defy that. Some probably use wild amounts of vibrato for an effect, and it's just part of their vocal style. But I think just in general, you want to kind of shy away from it, just because it kind of gives it that kind of classic kind of singer-songwriter kind of feel, that feels a little dated. Yeah, I feel like there's the things that I love most about it were like some of the aspects of the production were great. And yeah, I like some of the aspects. Actually, some of the aspects of the top line. I like how the top line definitely lifts as well in the choruses, which we always want some type of emotional lift when the chorus comes, and I feel like the verse definitely does that. So great job there. But could I ever pitch it anywhere? Not to say that you couldn't. I'm sure you could pitch this some places. I'm not sure that this kind of music is the music that I haven't seen a brief in a very, very long time that a song like this would be something that I'm like, yep, this is something I'm grabbing and I'm putting in a playlist to send off for this brief. So I guess in that way, I would say that your options for pitching something like this would be pretty limited. But I mean, I think that there's there's always, I'll say that, and then there's going to be one where it's like they're looking for a specific lyric and it needs to be in a specific style of music, and these things pop up every once in a while. And that's part of the reason why sometimes some of these searches go out to the larger community of agencies and just like producers. They're like, we need this specific lyric, we need the specific vibe. And is there a place that this could land? Sure. But do I think that the chances of something like this getting pitched often, I don't think that there's a chance that this would get pitched very often for stuff, just because of the things that I've talked about. That's just my professional opinion on it. But yeah, thanks for sharing the song. I don't think there's any, there's no, bias against certain timings of music or certain tempos of music. I just think it's like, I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, it all boils down to the song and whether it's like, I don't feel like timings are necessarily what dictate whether something's modern and marketable. In fact, there's probably like some really good creative potential for playing around with different time signatures and things. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. All right, so we got about 20 minutes or so left here in the listening session for today. We're getting through so many cool songs, and yeah, we're just gonna keep going. Notice we're already getting through more songs than we got last week, which makes me feel good. Hopefully y'all feel good about that too. Here we go. Next up. Let's just keep going. Next up, we got Michelle Charlie. And let's see if this looks like it might be, yeah, unfortunately, this is like a direct link to the file, it looks like. Hang on a sec. I might be able to figure this out. It looks like it's just a busted link, but maybe this will work. Let's see if the song that she wanted to screen is here. I found it. All right, good. Really important, by the way, there are tons of people where if you send them a link to something and they click it and it doesn't take them immediately to the place that they're looking for, this is actually like really good practice for all of you to make sure that when you send a link to somebody, if you treat this as if I was like a big time music supervisor, I think it would really help you because you're going to realize, like, I try to treat this as if it doesn't open up. I mean, I did take like the 10 seconds that it took to do that, but I'm not going to, like, if it's something that's like really broken or it's like a direct link to your Gmail account, I'm not going to go to the trouble to try to find it. Because it's just like literally like people's time is, not to say like my time's so valuable and I'm not going to waste my time doing this. It's not that way at all. It's actually good practice for you. It just so happened I saw the actual working URL that was kind of wrapped in this. Otherwise I wouldn't have gone to the trouble to do this, but it's just a good practice for everybody. So make sure when you send a link to test it out, make sure it works. But it wouldn't work if you send a Gmail link because it would probably actually go to your Gmail. But yeah, it's just trial and error. Next time don't send a Gmail link. But here we go. This one is called Jasmine, and we're going to share it. Here we go. Firing it up. So this I believe I screened a bunch of songs last night for an Explosions in the Sky submission opportunity that we sent out, and I believe this one might have been in the group that I evaluated. And just as far as like the whole thing has got like, obviously it's ambient kind of music, has kind of like, this one ends up having like a little bit of like feels like best way to describe it is a little bit of experimental kind of attitude to the production, and it has a little bit of like almost like a tribal kind of pace to it in a couple of parts. I feel like as far as like an alt to like, you know, Explosions in the Sky type stuff, I feel like there's some of the edges. It's like the trick with those kinds of tracks is there's like a real kind of like glossy, like really perfect kind of air to the track. It's like really long tail reverbs that like in rooms that kind of glue everything together in like kind of a really, it's hard to describe. It's just, there's a certain quality to that. And I feel like with this track, I don't feel that same kind of air, and I don't feel the same, like with the reverbs, I don't feel the same kind of, it doesn't evoke the same emotion from me hearing it without that. And as far as like the drums kind of feel a little bit out of place in the mix, as well as like just kind of in like kind of the vibe of the track a little bit. It almost feels like it kind of takes it in a different direction a little bit. Not to say that's a bad thing, but it's like it kind of like, especially in the mix, it kind of sticks out a little bit versus if you listen to the Explosions in the Sky stuff, when the drums come in, it's like really super subtle and almost just like kind of like just kind of something that helps like lift it a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, these are like the reasons why we would pass on a song like this for like an Explosion in the Sky type alt. But you know, it's like with a band like that, it's a band that's like super tough to exactly nail the vibe of. And I feel like this track like gets some of the stuff like in the right direction, but maybe like also a couple of the instrument choices kind of like, it's like the way they kind of stew together. It's like everything in an Explosion in the Sky track feels like it's kind of like perfectly kind of gluing together and taking you on a journey, versus like some of these elements that feel like some of them kind of work together really well, and then others kind of like it almost doesn't really vibe the way that the references do. So not to say that they don't vibe in their own cool way. It's just just for what we're looking for in that specific op. I think that's where like a track like this would kind of fall short. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay, thank you so much. I did have a question about, you said that the link was broken when you tried to click on it.
I'm afraid of both. Wait, is there
the twins,
a
Michael and Zoe?
Sorry, I don't know. Somebody have their microphone on unintentionally.
So I'm afraid when I ride on the boat that and frozen over.
I'm gonna mute everybody. You want to just unmute yourself again?
Okay. Yeah, I was just confused. You said that the link was broken. I submitted it via SoundCloud. So how should I have submitted that?
It was fine. It looked like what happened was it looked like it was like a direct file from your computer, and then the link to the URL was like after that. So for whatever reason, when you copied and pasted it, it threw in a bunch of extra characters into the URL. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that happened when you copied and pasted from SoundCloud, but it did. And yeah. So I think with that, you just want to test the link out on like the way you test the link out on SoundCloud. And this is how because I've done it before. I always make sure to triple check that my links work when I send them to somebody. And one of the ways that I do it when I don't really use SoundCloud anymore, but back when I was using SoundCloud before I started using Disco, what I was doing was I would literally log out of SoundCloud altogether, and then I would send the link. I would just basically open the link in a browser that I wasn't logged into, or you could do this where you just open the link in a browser that you're not logged in to SoundCloud with, and then if it works there, then you should be good. Yeah, does that help?
Okay. Yes, definitely. I appreciate the feedback too. We actually were a bit rushed on time with that one, so we were wondering what you guys had to say about it. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, it's like I feel like here's the thing, like this might not have like hit the mark, but you might be on the path to something super interesting. So just because like this one didn't hit like what we were looking for with it at this time doesn't mean that there isn't potential here for you to continue to develop this type of sound and keep better at it. There's certainly tons of references out there that you can keep practicing and just, it's like that ear training. You just keep like listening to references and working on the production. You can even read interviews about how the stuff is produced sometimes. And, you know, it's like there's just a rabbit hole of every type of music that you want to make. There's a rabbit hole that you can go down in terms of the production of it, in terms of the writing. And if you really want to try to continue exploring this type of music, there's definitely a need for it right now. So yeah, this definitely inspired us. We wanted to do more stuff like this too. So thank you. I think it's great. Yeah. And this just goes to, I want to say to everybody should be willing to try new things and try producing stuff they've never done before. Some of the biggest breakthroughs I've ever had as a writer and as a producer, as a singer, have come from me like just taking chances with things that I never thought I could be good at. And for example, like, I mean, I've shared this a couple times, but I had a song recently that was placed on a UK TV show that was written for girls ages 12 to 14. So, you know, never thought I'd be writing that kind of stuff, but you know, you never know what you're going to be good at until you try it. So I co-wrote that, but yeah, it was really an interesting experience. So have an open mind and be willing to try new things, and you'll be surprised sometimes what happens from it. And I've had plenty of failures too at trying new stuff. I'd probably have 30 or 40 more failures at trying something new than I have at stuff that I've succeeded at, but it's really impressive. All right, so we got about because I hear you there still, I'm gonna mute you. We got a little less than 10 minutes here. So let's see if we can at least get through a couple more songs before we call it a day. Let's see here. We'll go ahead and copy and paste that. And here we go. Boom. All right, next up. Next up we got God, you, oh, hang on a sec. Not that one. Lance Massey. Here we go. Lance Massey. Let's see. Give me just a second. I want to make sure. Okay, it doesn't look like it's going to autoplay. Cool. All right. This one's called Wild Hearts. Freedom's on its way. All right, here we go.
That's where the wild hearts run. They say there's rain on Tuesday. That's where the wild hearts run. That doesn't matter to me. That's where the wild hearts run. 'Cause everything will be. That's where the wild hearts run. Just fine with me. That's where the wild hearts run. That's where the wild hearts run.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff I like about this track. I feel like the clarity and the production's good. I feel like it's got some good fidelity to the just the elements of it. You can stop. Oh, okay, gotcha, Lance. Yeah, it kind of sounded like it a little bit. But yeah, I dig the track a lot. I feel like it's got a lot of really good creativity on the vocal front, in terms of just like some cool textures, and I like the way that some of the vocals feel like they're sitting a little further back, and some of them feel like they're more up front. Some of them sound dirtier than others. Some of them are a little bit, like wetter than others. And I think this is like really the kind of like dynamic you want in terms of like your vocal. You ideally want your vocal to have like a journey in a way, just like ideally, this is like kind of like the formula for it is ideally you want like everything in your production to kind of like lift up in complexity, have it lift up in intensity, and then all like kind of fall. And then like the song you want to have like kind of like this dynamic that's really satisfying to the listener. So I feel like this track overall, it doesn't really like have like that kind of dynamic that I feel like it kind of gets going, and then it just kind of like gets going a little more. So it'd be cool to see if there was like even like if there was a shade that was like beneath that, as far as like the dynamics wise that it could go to kind of give like a little bit of like, because you want to give the ears a little bit like more of like, in a way it's like giving the listener a rest in a way to kind of like a home base for them to kind of come back to take the journey again with you. So I feel like dynamics could use a little work on this. Yeah, super Prince vibe with it, which is cool. I feel like there's yeah, and I really like the drop. The drop's cool. I feel like it's the most interesting part of the song to me, and I feel like you could possibly even front load the song with it. Just because why make people wait a minute and a half to get to it? That's like just my opinion on it. Or you could find a way to get to it faster. The piano in particular feels a little thin to me. Maybe it's just like whatever VST you're using. I don't really care much for it. But that's just my opinion. Like from what I hear, I'd like to hear something that sounds a little fuller with that. And I just feel like in parts, like it feels like the instrumentation is still a little sparse in some parts. It feels like the production's a little unfinished. So yeah, just maybe using like room reverbs can really help with filling in. It can actually make like productions where it's like a little on the sparser side feel like it's like completely done, because it still fills the space in kind of like a satisfying way. So maybe you can play around with some more reverbs and just maybe a little bit more production in some of the parts of it. So that's pretty much my feedback on the track. I think it's cool. It's unique. It's got a cool vocal style. And yeah, like a few suggestions, but otherwise I think it's cool, man. Thanks for sharing it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, we got you know what? It's getting close to the time. We'll at least get through one more song. Let's see how we're doing. We're definitely getting through more songs than we got last week, which is good. So next up, who we got? Next up, we got Stephen Cooper. This track, actually, this is one of the few times where I'm not gonna screen a song because we actually already have this in our library. But you know what? I'll probably play a few seconds and I'll let y'all know why we have it in our library. Yeah, just because it's definitely working. But yeah, let's play a few seconds of it, and I can just talk about why we took it on. Here we go. It's called Animal.
She wears tattoos, a princess disguised. She's got these razor sharp daggers for eyes. She don't care if you wanna stop and stare, but she'll put you under a spell while you're there. She's a beauty queen when she walks down the an animal when she's in between the sheets. She's an animal. She's an animal. She's an animal. She's an animal. She wears high heels and lipstick.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that. It's definitely, it's a great track. It's like, it's well produced. The vocal sounds great. The singer has definitely like almost like a Brandon Flowers kind of vibe to him. Yeah, I just think that, and the songwriting is really good. The attitude is there. It just feels like, yeah, maybe it's like a hair dated in terms of the sound, but like just a hair. And I know for sure that they're still looking for stuff that has this kind of feel. So it's like, you know, this felt like a no brainer to me to add to the library. So, but there's a lot of points that I love about this track. So hopefully you can hear kind of like that. Just another one. We add music all the time to our library. So, you know, looking forward to adding more and more all the time. We've already got a couple of Stevens tracks. Actually, I think we've got like 3 or 4 of them in there. And we're pitching them. Haven't landed anything for them yet, but you know, these things can take time. And also, you know, just a heads up, the way it works, just because if you get signed with somebody doesn't to a rep deal doesn't mean that something is necessarily going to happen, but it certainly like it puts you in contention, because we're pitching stuff like all the time. So was this added to library from this class? So he's not in the new cohort, but he's in a previous group. So yes, he was. These songs were added from a different course. Actually, you know, like I apologize so much. It's pretty rare that something like this happens. I actually, like, maybe TMI, but like I actually need to use the bathroom like pretty badly right now. So I'm probably going to have to, it's just like, I don't have any way other to put it other than like, if I'm listening to another song, I might just be running down the stairs. So, I apologize, but it's a couple minutes short. Hopefully we've gotten a ton out of this. We're going to keep going on with the songs next week. And yeah, we'll just keep going. Hopefully, like, nobody's feelings are getting hurt in terms of like having like your specific song screened. It's a real, I will just say, like, from my own experience with this, it's really valuable to hear everybody's songs getting screened, because there's so much that we learn from it's just like literally, like, I'm somebody who makes decisions on these things. I have quite a bit of experience with all this. I think it'll help you to see like what's going on with your music, to hear what's going on with other people's music. And also, it's just such a good opportunity to network with other people. We're going to be providing links to everybody's songs. It looks like everybody's provided their names too, so you can look them up on Facebook or wherever, and you can collaborate with them if they're not in your group. So yeah, please do so, and keep the great songs coming. We'll keep screening them next week, and till next time, see you later.